Welcome everyone, my name's Corey Allen and this is the Overton Report. Can I just start off by saying, what in the world is happening in this nation? I know. So many people are afraid to say it, but I'm shouting it off at the top of my lungs. Look, we all know something's wrong. We all know something is happening. And we all know it's not good. I want to start off with a clip of this woman. She's talking about a truth commission, okay? I'm going to let her explain to you what the indoctrination camp is telling you a truth commission is. And then we'll talk about what a truth commission actually is. Yeah? Yeah.
The country needs a truth commission. What exactly would a truth commission be?
So I think part of what we're seeing now is because we haven't really done the reckoning with the racial injustice and white supremacy of our past. And so, a truth commission, a lot of people will think of South Africa. We've used them in countries around the world. And basically what it is it's communities all the way up to the national level having conversations about both the gory and the glory of our history and what happened, both throughout the history of our country and leading up to and on January 6th, so that we can come to a common narrative moving forward of what we want our country to be.
Do you think the House and Senate leadership have the stomach for that?
I think so. Look, we all were victims of this attack in addition to being the lawmakers of this country. And I know for a lot of us, this is very personal. We've had threats to our lives, threats to our homes and our families. And so I think that there are a lot of us who know that this impeachment trial was just the start of holding Donald Trump accountable, but that we need to make sure that we're doing accountability of anyone who incited, encouraged, or committed acts of violence, and then really looking forward at kinds of things like truth commissions, like democracy, like institution building that we know are going to be the real fixes to what we've seen in this country.
So what does a truth commission do? A truth commission is a group of government-appointed officials, okay, who will come together and they'll have these private discussions and they'll say, well, if this is the narrative, then this will help us in this way. If we want to go towards this direction with government, then we'll put this truth commission together and we'll have them say X, Y, and Z happened when we really know that A, B, and C happened. And we'll take it in that direction. This is very similar to, let's say, a 1619 project, which was put together by the very trustworthy New York Times. Yeah. And then she goes on to talk about January 6th at the Capitol. Man, it has been a month and a half. It was a matter of hours before you weren't allowed to discuss a riot that happened in insert city name here, anywhere in the country. But here we are a month and a half later, and they've gone to every extreme possible to make this seem like it was some kind of insurrection. Even going so far as to saying that it was an armed insurrection, lying about people coming there with guns. Look, I've got hours of footage. I was there. No guns. There were no guns. Nobody went into that building with guns. So this is a commission that is dedicated to manipulating the truth, manipulating the history, rewriting the history of the United States of America, making it something that is completely untrue in order to guide us into a collective nature. Because, look, the left, they're about collectivism. I'm telling you, when you put the idea of a collective above the idea of an individual, you get tyranny. Every time. Every time. Collective guilt, collective shame, collective reward, collective punishment. These things are antithetical to liberty. And then she goes to talk about we've had our lives threatened, etc., etc. Look, I've had my life threatened. There were over 500,000 people in Washington, D.C. Less than 400 of them committed anything that could be considered a crime in the most liberal of definitions. But all of those people are being put into that category. I didn't even touch any of the marble. I didn't even put my foot. I left before anybody even got onto the Capitol because I had a radio interview to do and because our equipment was dying and we forgot to charge our rechargers, before that day. That was me, I'm an amateur. That was my fault. But it was good because we left. But the local leftists decided to call the FBI en masse to force them to waste your money, taxpayer money coming to my house, even though everything that happened on film, so they had it all. It was all public. To ask me questions about what happened at the Capitol. You want to know what happened at the Capitol? Just check the footage. It's all there. It's all public. But you want to talk about death threats? Conservatives get death threats. Hey, I remember Josh Hawley had Antifa go in there threatening to kill his children and his wife at his home on January 5th. And it was laughed out of the media. It was laughed at. So what? Who cares? Whatever. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez wasn't even in the Capitol and she's talking about death threats and it's pearls clutched. Oh my. Whatever shall we do? I'm sick of talking about the Capitol. Let's talk. Let's really talk about what the left is doing. They just fired Gina Carano, Disney, on behalf of far left ridiculousness because she said don't act like Nazis. No, really, look. No, she really said don't do this. And they said she's anti-Semitic. And at the same time, Nick Cannon gets his job back after he said white people are savages. Do you understand the problem? Is it making sense? If not, let's take a look at this clip and let's see what the extremely intelligent, way smarter than you, so they are here, you are here, so let them talk down to you and explain to you how the United States is just white supremacists and white power structures, period, end of discussion. Okay? And this is Rutgers University professor. Let's take a look.
Making a mockery of the justice system by refusing to convict or hold accountable white folks who commit violence is really an endemic feature of American democracy. It is, in fact, sort of ingrained as an expectation. The modern day GOP has decided, like their forebears of old, that sanctioning violence forthrightly and unapologetically is key to the maintenance of a white power structure. This is about a sort of fear and anxiety and anger on the right at the fact that white supremacist power structures are slipping away, that they are in peril. The way that white supremacy has been protected in our country has been through lawless acts of violence that have been sanctioned by U.S. democratic processes. Republicans know that, and the thing that they are bidding for here is the right to be violent in public as a reinforcement of white supremacy. And what they are asking their 74 million voters to do, the 74 million voters who voted for Donald Trump, is to accede to this kind of democracy. This is not anomalous to the American project. This is how white people have maintained their power so long. It has never been about merit, but that stuff is always suppressed by the brute force of white supremacy. That is why I made the connection between the racist lynching trials of old, because often black folks can be more compelling, more rigorous, and still be suppressed by white session to brute violent force.
They are bidding for the right to be violent under government sanction. Is that really That's really the claim that a Rutgers University professor is bringing to the table? Here's the deal. And it's, I almost don't want to say it because I almost don't want to say this because I know how the left is. I know how the far left is. I especially know how the extremely white left is. Okay? But I'm going to go ahead and do it. Martin Luther King had a dream, right? And that dream was that his children would be judged on the content of their character rather than the color of their skin. It's a very simple statement, but it's extremely profound. Look around you. Let's toss off just for a moment. Just get it off your shoulders. Just get it off yourself. This concept of left and right and identity politics and this and that. Just get it off. Get off what you're supposed to say. Get off what the left tells you to say. Think about it. Just objectively. Today, 2021, do you think that we are closer to Martin Luther King's dream or further from Martin Luther King's dream with today's identity politics taking precedent over reality? Well, when you force people into taking responsibility for something that somebody else did who shares a skin tone with them, I gotta tell you, that's judging on the color of somebody's skin and not the content of that individual's character. Martin Luther King was not a collectivist. He believed in individual liberty, individual responsibility, and individual rights. Why can I say that? Because he said it. When you take a society and you divide that society into groups by immutable characteristics, you doom that society to failure. Martin Luther King Jr. understood that. Many of the most intelligent people in society understood that. As a matter of fact, between me and you, some of the most ridiculously genius people on the left still know that. They know that. You know what they also understand? They understand that if they can divide you into groups, well, they can control you. If they can tell you to hate that group because of their skin color, hate that group because of their religion, and use collective guilt to force X group to feel one way and X group to feel another, they can control you. And that's what they're doing. And that's what you let them do.
They know that they will be annihilated. So therefore, however they got the power, they have the lack of compassion. That melanin comes with compassion. Melanin comes with soul. That we call it soul.
Right.
So the people that don't have it are a little, and I'm gonna say this carefully, are a little less. They may not have the compassion, so then they're acting out of fear. They're acting out of low self-esteem. They're acting out of a deficiency. So therefore, the only way that they can act is evil. The only way they have to rob, steal, rape, kill, and
Fight or flight, okay.
in order to survive.
Exactly.
So then these people who didn't have what we had, and when I say we, I speak of the melanated people.
Right.
They had to be savages. They had to be barbaric. So they're acting as animals.
Right.
So they're the ones that are actually closer to animals. They're the ones that are actually the true savages.
Are there people out there that are terrible people? Yeah. And are there white people out there that are racist and just disgusting? Absolutely. But there are people who are black that are racist and absolutely disgusting. And no, we can't go changing around definitions to the point. If I'm ever in a conversation with somebody and they say, well, black people can't be racist, I'm done with that conversation. Look, judging a person based upon their race rather than their individual characteristics, as a matter of fact, judging somebody based on immutable characteristics they cannot control, if that's your idea of bringing society together into a more cohesive structure, I'm out. Because the moment you start talking about that is the moment I know. That's the moment I know that you are ignorant and that you have nothing to add to bettering society as a whole. So no, Miss Rutgers professor, what happened on January 6th was neither white power structures white supremacy, or anything else. It had nothing to do with that. It was people who were pushed to an extreme and who took that in a disgusting direction. Just like it was the exact same thing throughout the entire previous year when people were doing the exact same thing in cities throughout the nation. Firebombing federal courthouses day in and day out for multiple months. Killing little girls because they shot into a car because that car needed to get home, but it went through a crowd of protesters to do it slowly. These things are not based on race. These things are not based on your ethnicity, your religion, your gender, any of it. This is an elite class dividing you up and laughing their way to the bank. And I won't have any of it anymore. I will not apologize when I say something and a leftist purposefully misconstrues what I've said and creates this entire false narrative around it. I'm not going to do it. And I'm telling you, I highly recommend that you don't do it either. If you want to hear more about this, we get into an entire discussion in our new podcast, the Overton Group's podcast. Take a look at some of the commercials that we've done, some of the little sneak peeks that we've got. We've got 2 out now. We got the 3rd one coming out. So definitely take a look at that. I think you're really going to like it. I mean, I have fun making them. I think you'll have fun listening to them. Follow us on MeWe. Follow us on Gab. Parler's back, so we're on Parler now. Again, of course, at The Overton Report. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube. TheOvertonReport.substack.com, and you'll get all the updates, all the videos, because Facebook, their censorship is getting incredible. Take a trip with us to Clown World, because I know you're in it just as much as I'm in it. Wow. Thanks, guys. We'll talk to you next time. My name's Corey Allen. This has been The Overton Report.